Welcome to Ghosts of Asia, where every shadow has a story and every silence hides a secret. Tonight, we take you to a place where modern life meets ancient fear. A place you might be living in right now. Condo towers that reach into the clouds, polished floors, bright lights, and missing numbers. But what if the floor that should not exist is the one hiding something you can never escape? What if the real ghost story begins exactly where the elevator stops and refuses to open its doors? This is the tale of Floor 29, a place erased from the blueprints, but not from reality. A story of lullabies echoing through concrete, of shadows beneath your feet, and a door that waits for you at 2:14 a.m., already unlocked. Are you ready to step inside? Let's begin.
There's something different about the city at 2 a.m. Far below, the usual roar of motorbikes and neon nightlife fades to a distant electric hum, swallowed by thick glass and endless concrete. The lights from hundreds of apartment windows burn like quiet fireflies across the skyline, flickering as people settle in for sleep. But up on the 30th floor, the silence feels heavier, almost unnatural. Mai is wide awake, lying on her back in the dark, her phone screen lighting up her face. She's used to these lonely, restless nights. Being a freelance vlogger has always meant late hours, solitude, and a mind that refuses to settle down. Usually, it's just her thoughts keeping her up. Plans for new videos, half-finished scripts, worries about growing her channel. Tonight, though, there's something else. The building itself feels unsettled. It starts as a faint vibration, a soft, dragging sound that seems to crawl along the edges of her awareness. It could be the pipes, or maybe the wind. She tells herself not to pay attention. But the noise grows. It becomes a slow, scraping movement, like heavy furniture being pulled across tiles. Stop and start, pause and drag. The sounds feel close, too close. They travel through the mattress, through her bones. She sits up, heart thumping, and checks her phone for the time. 2:14 a.m. She pulls out her earbuds, the city's silence pressing in around her. Now she listens, holding her breath. There, beneath her floor, it comes again. A drawn-out scrape, a dull thump, and then, chillingly, the distant sobbing of a child. Faint at first, but unmistakable. The crying echoes up, rising and falling, caught in the rhythm of the scraping noise. Mai stares at her ceiling, mind racing. She thinks about the building's floor plan. Technically, there's nothing below her apartment. At least, that's what the building registry says. There's no 29th floor. The elevator skips straight from 28 to 30, as if an entire level simply doesn't exist. But the noises do not care about superstitions or missing numbers. She grabs her phone and starts recording, almost on instinct. The mic captures the dragging sound, the muffled cry, the thud of something heavy. Goosebumps ripple across her arms. The air in her apartment feels colder than usual, and Mai shivers, suddenly wishing she wasn't alone. Maybe it's nothing. A plumbing problem, a neighbor moving furniture at a weird hour. A trick of her imagination. In the morning, people will laugh about it, she thinks. But right now, at 2:21 a.m., the sounds stop as suddenly as they began. Silence returns, thick and complete. Mai lies back down, squeezing her eyes shut. The city outside keeps shining, but it feels impossibly far away. Still, The questions won't leave her. Who or what is making those sounds beneath her floor? And if there really is no 29th floor, what exactly is under her bed tonight?
The next morning, sunlight seeps through Mai's blackout curtains, but she can't shake the chill from last night. She replays the audio she captured on her phone. Most of it is filled with static and empty silence, until that same dragging, scraping sound emerges, clear as day, followed by a faint, desperate whimpering. Mai turns up the volume. It's there, the cry of a child. Coffee in hand, she stares at her fridge, where she's taped a novelty elevator panel for her vlogs. Just like the real elevator, the numbers skip straight from 28 to 30. She always thought it was funny, a bit of superstition, nothing more. Lots of Asian high-rises skip unlucky numbers. Some avoid the number 4, some 13. In her building, it's 29. But after last night, superstition doesn't feel so harmless. Driven by a restless mix of fear and curiosity, Mai decides to investigate. She throws on a sweater, grabs her keys, and heads for the elevator. The hallway feels unusually empty. When the doors open, she nearly bumps into a cleaner pushing a mop bucket. "Excuse me," Mai says in English, her voice careful and friendly. "Can I ask you something? How long have you worked here?" The woman glances up, a little startled, then nods. "A few years. Why?" "Is there really no 29th floor?" Mai asks, keeping her tone casual. "I mean, I noticed the elevator skips that number." The cleaner's expression darkens. "No, miss. No 29 here. They say it's unlucky. So there is nothing below 30, just empty space." Mai hesitates. "But sometimes at night I hear noises, like someone moving furniture or something else, below my apartment. Are you sure there's nothing down there?" The cleaner's face tightens, her eyes shifting toward the ceiling as if remembering something unpleasant. "This building is quiet at night. High up, the wind can make strange sounds. Try not to listen too much. It's just the way these tall buildings are." Without another word, the woman wheels her bucket away, the scent of cleaning fluid trailing behind. On the elevator ride back up, Mai studies the buttons. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, then, without hesitation, 30. No button for 29, no indicator, no pause. It's as if that entire floor has been erased from reality. But that night, at exactly 2:14 a.m., the sounds return. Louder this time, dragging, scraping, crying. Her ceiling lamp trembles with the thumping below. Lying in bed, phone pressed to her chest, Mai stares into the darkness and wonders if anyone else on the 30th floor is awake, if anyone else hears what she hears, or if this haunting is hers alone. Outside, the city pulses on, indifferent, and somewhere below her feet, the unknown stirs again. The day drags by in a haze for Mai. She tries to focus on editing a simple video for her channel, a late-night snack review, but her mind keeps drifting back to the haunting noises beneath her apartment. Every creak in the pipes, every shifting shadow in the corners of her room sends her nerves on edge. By midnight, the city outside her window is swallowed in darkness, with only the distant glow of other high-rises for company. Mai sits on her bed, restless, straining to hear nothing but silence. Yet her heart pounds with the fear that silence will not last. At 2:09 a.m., a new sound breaks the quiet. This time, it's softer, almost playful, a faint tapping, like the light steps of a child running across tiles. The sound moves beneath her, circling her floor, then darting away. Mai slides off the bed and lowers herself to the floor, pressing her ear to the cold laminate. The footsteps become clearer, quick, darting,
impossible to ignore. Then, as she listens, a melody begins to rise from below, a lullaby, haunting and old, sung in a woman's voice that trembles with sorrow and exhaustion. "Sleep, little one, the night has come." The lyrics are muffled, incomplete, but the emotion seeps through, longing, loneliness, and something that aches to be heard. Mai's breath turns shallow. Goosebumps spread across her skin. She scrambles backward, heart racing, unable to look away from the floor as if expecting something, someone to reach through. Suddenly, the footsteps stop. Silence falls for a heartbeat. Then beneath the melody, another voice emerges, low, pleading, unintelligible. It's the sound of someone begging, not with words, but with raw, desperate feeling. Hands shaking, Mai grabs her phone and fumbles for the recorder. She manages to hit record just as the voices begin to fade, the melody unraveling into static. When she plays back the file, it's distorted, the melody warped, and the voices buried in interference. Only the faintest hint of the lullaby remains, echoing in her apartment like a memory that refuses to die. She doesn't sleep for the rest of the night. Instead, she sits by the window, watching the city fade from night to pale dawn, too afraid to let her bare feet touch the floor. For the first time, Mai wonders if the missing floor beneath her isn't empty after all, but filled with memories, sorrow, and things that were never meant to rest. Sleep is out of the question for Mai. All day, the strange lullaby and the ghostly footsteps replay in her mind. No matter how many times she listens to last night's recording, the details seem to slip away, buried in static, as if the sounds themselves are hiding from her. Every time she looks at her floor, she imagines shadows darting just out of sight. By evening, frustration and fear have grown into resolve. If this haunting is real, she needs proof, something she can show the world, something no one can dismiss as her imagination. Mai decides to use her old field microphone, a professional, heavy, sensitive device left over from her student documentary days. She attaches it to a long cord, double knots everything, and checks the battery twice. This isn't for her audience anymore. This is for herself. She waits until almost 2:14 a.m. The apartment is silent. The city outside nothing more than a distant blur of headlights and neon. Mai steps quietly into the hallway, every sound echoing in the empty corridor. She approaches the trash chute, cold to the touch, rimmed with condensation, even though the night air is warm. Her heart pounds as she unscrews the hatch. A faint draft spills from the darkness, carrying a scent of dust and something faintly rotten, like wet earth after rain. Taking a deep breath, she lowers the microphone down the chute, letting the cord slide through her fingers until the mic disappears into the darkness below. She keeps the recording running, eyes on the red blinking light, her hands trembling. The elevator panel shows only 28 and 30. There's nothing in between, but the empty space below her feet suddenly feels impossibly deep. At exactly 2:14 a.m., the noises begin. The dragging, the scraping, the sobbing, a cacophony of movement in the void. Mai crouches in the hallway, recording every sound, every vibration, her pulse racing. She whispers into the darkness, "If you're real, let me hear you." As if an answer, the sounds intensify, a loud metallic clang, then a sudden sharp pull on the cord. The microphone tugs, almost slipping from her grasp. Mai gasps, reeling in the line with all her strength. Then, just as suddenly, the sounds stop. The cord goes slack. Silence floods the corridor. Hands shaking, Mai pulls the microphone back up. It feels colder than before, slick with condensation, as if it has been somewhere far deeper and stranger than the building itself. She locks her door behind her and sets the mic on her desk, the red recording light still blinking in the darkness. For a moment, she feels a surge of pride. Proof, she thinks. Evidence. But as she lies awake, staring at the shadows crawling across her ceiling, Mai can't help but wonder if this time she wasn't the only one listening. Outside, the city's lights flicker, and below, in the hidden darkness, something shifts. Dawn arrives, gray and thin, leaking through the curtains. Mai wakes with a start, memories of her midnight experiment pulsing in her head. She throws off the covers and immediately looks for the microphone on her desk, ready to check what she captured. But it's gone. A chill runs down her spine. She searches the desk, the cords, the entire room, growing more frantic with every second. The microphone and cable have vanished. Barefoot, she rushes to her apartment door. There, lying perfectly in the center of the welcome mat, is her microphone. The cord is neatly coiled, placed as if by invisible hands. Mai bends down to pick it up and recoils in shock. The microphone is coated in a thick layer of gray dust. Across its metal mesh and tangled cord, small handprints are smeared, wet and distinct, impossibly tiny, as if left by the sticky hands of a child. When she brushes the dust, her fingertips come away clammy and cold, as if she's touched something left out in the rain. Her heart hammers as she scans the empty hallway. No one is there. No footsteps, no sign of another soul awake at this hour. Shaking, she carries the microphone inside and sets it down on the kitchen table, staring at it as though it might move again. She snaps photos for her vlog, close-ups of the handprints, the dust, the glistening residue. Once she's sure her hands have stopped shaking, she plugs the recorder into her laptop and plays back the file. At first, there's only static, but then the familiar dragging sound blasts through her speakers, louder and clearer than ever before. Next comes the muffled, uneven crying of a child. And then, for the first time, a new sound. Soft giggles, rising and falling, echoing from somewhere deep and empty. The laughter fades, replaced by the ghostly lullaby in a language she doesn't understand. Its melody both comforting and cold, as if sung from a place where sunlight can't reach. Mai sits motionless, the city's morning bustle distant and unreal outside her window. Her mind races with impossible questions. How did the microphone get back to her door? Who or what left those tiny, wet handprints? And if something can reach her from the darkness below, what else might come next? For the first time, Mai feels truly afraid, not just of what's hiding beneath her apartment, but of the boundary between her world and whatever lies in the missing floor. The city wakes as if nothing is wrong, but Mai's sense of unease grows with every passing hour. She can't forget the sticky handprints or the icy weight of the microphone. Alone in her apartment, she feels watched, haunted not just by sounds, but by the evidence she can't explain. Mai opens her laptop and launches into research, determined to find something, anything, to prove she isn't losing her mind. Most search results are dull. Advertisements for luxury living, glossy images of the lobby, and generic testimonials from smiling families. But Mai refuses to give up. Digging deeper, she finds a municipal archive, its records yellowed and difficult to read. There, she uncovers a battered PDF, a construction progress report from almost 20 years ago. The file is grainy, cluttered with stamps and half-erased notes. but as she scrolls, her heart skips a beat. Floor 29, 2 units. Construction incomplete. She leans in, searching for more. Much of the report is blacked out or blurred, but certain words bleed through. Evacuate floor 29 immediately. Unexplained noise complaints. Incident under investigation. Mai prints the document, her hands trembling. The evidence is real. There was a 29th floor, and something happened there, something the builders tried to erase. Questions race through her mind. Why did they skip the entire floor? What was the incident no one talks about? Why does no one remember or admit that 29 ever existed? Needing more answers, Mai throws on a jacket and heads downstairs to the lobby. The air smells of bleach and distant coffee. She approaches the security desk, where a young man in uniform scrolls on his phone. "Excuse me," Mai asks, voice steady. "Do you know why there's no 29th floor here?" The guard glances up, then quickly away. "It's just superstition. Developers think no one wants to live on that floor. Happens all over Asia." She leans in. "Has anyone ever complained about noises at night? Or anything strange?" His expression freezes. "No, miss. Nothing like that here. Maybe the wind. These buildings make weird sounds sometimes." He turns away, clearly done with the conversation. Back upstairs, Mai locks her door, the weight of unanswered questions pressing down on her. Secrets cling to the building like old dust, layers of denial, superstition, and carefully hidden history. But now she knows there was a 29th floor. Something terrible happened there. And whatever it was never meant to be found. That night, as darkness falls and the dragging sounds return, Mai realizes she has only scratched the surface of a nightmare that never left. Mai can't let it go. The questions burn in her mind long after midnight. She scrolls through message boards and old forums, looking for anything, rumors, whispers, even angry rants about construction delays or strange events in the building's early days. One comment, buried deep in an abandoned real estate thread, catches her eye. "If you want the truth about Tower Horizon, ask the old man who used to pour concrete. He's still around, sometimes fixes broken tiles in the service corridor." It's a long shot, but Mai is desperate. That afternoon, she lurks by the maintenance office near the parking garage, pretending to scroll her phone. Finally, an older man in faded blue overalls and worn sandals limps by, toolbox in hand. His face is weathered, his eyes tired but alert. She gathers her courage. "Excuse me, sir, were you here when this building was constructed, years ago?" He eyes her warily, but there's something honest in Mai's exhaustion. After a moment, he nods. "Long time ago. Why do you ask?" She swallows. "I've been hearing strange sounds. I found documents about a 29th floor, one that's missing now. Did something happen here?" The old man sighs, lowering his toolbox with a quiet clank. He glances over his shoulder, as if making sure they're alone. "Not many want to talk about that floor," he says softly. "But yes, it was real. There was a family, a woman, her husband, their little girl. They moved in before the building was finished. The management wanted to show the units were safe, you see. But every night, the woman said she heard footsteps above her, sometimes running, sometimes pacing. But she lived on the top floor. No one else should have been there." Mai shivers, remembering the crying, the lullabies, the soft thuds in the night. One day, the old man continues, voice low, "they found her on the unfinished balcony with her daughter. She'd jumped, holding the child. The husband was never the same. After that, workers said they heard voices, crying, furniture moving in the empty unit. Some said they saw lights. Management told us to seal the floor, weld the doors, brick up the stairwell. We finished the building without floor 29. The registry erased it. Why didn't anyone talk about it? Mai asks, her own voice little more than a whisper. He looks at her with a sadness that feels ancient. People are afraid. Bad luck sticks to a place. The owners paid extra to keep it quiet. Sometimes when I work late, I hear sounds from the elevator shaft. But the best thing you can do is forget about that floor. Don't go looking. He picks up his toolbox and limps away, leaving Mai standing in the echoing hallway, a cold dread settling in her chest. Now she knows. The sounds are real. The floor existed. And whatever tragedy happened there wasn't buried deep enough. That night, the scraping sounds are louder than ever, and Mai realizes she is no longer just an observer. She is a witness to a haunting that refuses to fade. The old man's story haunts Mai long after he leaves. She can't focus, can't eat, can't stop thinking about the woman who once lived in the vanished apartment below. The image of a mother clutching her child on an unfinished balcony replays endlessly in her mind, a loop of grief, fear, and unanswered questions. Late that night, Mai sits at her desk, surrounded by dim lamplight and city shadows. She scrolls through old news archives, searching for anything about an accident in her building. There's almost nothing. Just a single faded headline buried in a newspaper from decades ago. Mother and daughter fall to their deaths from unfinished tower. The details are sparse. No names, no photographs, no reason given. Only a mention of unexplained disturbances reported by workers in the days before. The emptiness of the record makes the story feel even colder. As Mai reads, she imagines the loneliness of that woman, unpacking boxes, arranging furniture in a brand new apartment, convinced that she was at the top, safe, above it all. Then the footsteps start, every night, growing louder, closer, running, pacing. Mai closes her eyes and lets herself slip into the woman's perspective. She can almost hear the high-pitched laughter of a child, feel the panic mounting as invisible feet scurry overhead. She imagines the mother pacing the bare balcony in the darkness, whispering lullabies to calm her daughter, trying to ignore the growing dread that someone or something was just above her, always watching. How many times did the woman press her ear to the floor, desperate for answers no one else could hear? How long did it take for her fear to turn to despair? A chill creeps over Mai as she realizes how similar their experiences are. The crying, the lullabies, the feeling of something lurking just below or above the edges of reality. The sense that the haunting never really left, just changed shape, waiting for someone to notice. She gets up and walks to her own balcony. The city glows beneath her, endless and indifferent. Far below, the streets are empty. But as she leans over the railing, she sees a single light flickering in the space where floor 29 should be. Impossible, but there. Mai stares at the glow, her breath fogging in the night air. The light pulses gently, almost invitingly, as if calling her down, down into the memory of a tragedy that refuses to be forgotten. She turns away, but she can't shake the feeling that the story isn't over. The past is not finished with her, or with this place. That night, as she tries to sleep, the lullaby returns, drifting up from the darkness. And somewhere in the silence, she hears footsteps, not just below, but above.
Sleep evades Mai, leaving her mind suspended in a state between waking and dreaming. The lullaby lingers long after the last note fades, seeping through her floorboards and echoing in her chest. She tells herself it's all in her head, but the dread keeps growing, a tide that won't recede. The next night, unable to resist her curiosity, Mai stands again on her balcony. The city sprawls beneath her, neon and restless, oblivious to the terror in one small corner of its sky. She leans over the railing, searching the glass and concrete below for any sign that what she heard and felt is real. That's when she sees it, a pulse of light where there should be nothing. The space where floor 29 would be is supposed to be solid, windowless wall, but there, just beneath her own balcony, a faint yellow glow winks on and off. It's not the regular pattern of security lighting or the blue flicker of a television. This glow is uneven, flickering, as if someone is carrying a candle or an old lantern through an abandoned room. Mai blinks, certain she's imagining it, but the light pulses again, brighter this time. She squints and can almost make out the outline of a door, hazy and indistinct, set into the wall where no door should exist. The hairs on the back of her neck rise. For a moment, she thinks she sees a shadow, small and quick, move across the glowing patch, and then it's gone. She pulls out her phone, fumbling with the camera, but as soon as she tries to record, the light vanishes. All that remains is the cold, smooth face of the building, as blank as ever. Her heart thunders in her chest. She stands there, shivering, staring at the place where the impossible glow appeared. Was it a reflection? A trick of her tired mind? Or had she just seen a glimpse into the sealed and forgotten world below? Back inside, Mai tries to calm herself, but she keeps replaying what she saw. Maybe the old construction worker was right. Some stories are better left untold. But curiosity, once awakened, is a hunger that won't die. Later that night, as she lies in bed, Mai notices something even stranger. The air feels heavier, charged with static. The digital clock on her nightstand glitches for a split second, 2:14 a.m., and then the lullaby begins again, softer than before, like a memory leaking through the cracks in the walls. She closes her eyes and sees the flickering light, the shadow, the door that shouldn't be there. And deep inside, she knows the boundary between her world and floor 29 is growing thinner. In the days that follow, Mai becomes hyper-aware of her own movements. She catches herself flinching at ordinary sounds, a cabinet closing, the rumble of the elevator, even her own footsteps echoing in the hall. But it's not just nerves, it's something else, something new and terrifying. It starts subtly, in the bathroom mirror as she washes her face at night. She notices, for just a heartbeat, that her reflection seems to lag behind. The lights flicker, and for an instant there are two shadows cast on the tiles, one of them smaller, standing just behind her shoulder. She spins around, heart racing, but of course there's no one there. During the day, the sensation follows her like a chill she can't shake. She sees her shadow in the sunlight on the balcony, stretched across the concrete, and there, briefly, is another, smaller silhouette. It huddles close to her feet, sometimes darting away if she moves too quickly, always vanishing when she looks directly at it. At night, the presence is stronger. Every time Mai passes by a reflective surface, windows, her phone screen, the glossy finish of the elevator doors, she catches that double image. Herself and something else. A second shadow, trailing her movements a heartbeat behind. Sometimes she swears she hears a faint whisper, a childish giggle, as if someone is following her just out of sight. The fear gnaws at her. She wonders if she's losing her mind, if sleep deprivation is warping her senses.
but every time she tries to brush it off as stress, the feeling intensifies. Her apartment feels smaller, colder, the air pressed tight around her. She leaves more lights on at night, but the shadows only seem to multiply. One evening, as she prepares dinner, Mai drops a spoon. It rolls under the cabinet. She bends down to retrieve it and freezes. Reflected in the shiny surface of her oven door are two figures, herself and the faint outline of a child standing just behind. She stands up so quickly she nearly knocks the pan off the stove. The reflection disappears. Trembling, Mai clutches the countertop, fighting tears of frustration and terror. "What do you want?" she whispers to the empty kitchen. No answer, just the gentle, ghostly hum of a lullaby drifting up through the floor. That night, Mai sleeps with every light on, but even in the brightest glare, she can feel the second shadow lurking just behind her. Mai is losing track of time. Day and night blur together, measured only by the moments when her fear subsides enough to let her rest. She barely eats, barely speaks to anyone outside. The city is moving on all around her, but inside the apartment, her world has narrowed to a single obsession: the sounds coming from below. One night, as she lies awake and trembling in her bed, the familiar sense of heaviness returns. The air grows cold and thick, her breath visible in the faint glow of her phone. She tries to distract herself with a podcast, but at 2:14 a.m., it happens again. A lullaby begins to float up through the floorboards. This time, it's louder, crystal clear, every note haunting and unmistakable. The song is old, the melody full of longing and sorrow, sung in a voice that quivers with pain. Mai freezes, holding her phone tightly, not daring to move. "Sleep, little one, the night is long. Mother is here, though the world feels wrong." The words twist and echo in the darkness. The woman's voice is joined by the faint, off-key humming of a child, their tones weaving together in an eerie harmony. Mai can feel the music vibrating through the floor, seeping into her bones. Her rational mind wants to believe it's a trick, some late-night radio, an echo from another apartment. But there's no one below her. There is no floor 29. She grabs her phone and hits record, holding it close to the floor. The melody swells, joined by a soft patter of footsteps and the scraping of something heavy being dragged across tiles. My skin crawls. She covers her mouth, afraid that if she makes a sound, whoever or whatever is singing will hear her and know she's listening. When the lullaby finally fades, replaced by silence so deep it aches, Mai listens to the playback on her phone. The audio is warped, half consumed by static, but beneath the noise, she can make out the song, clearer than before, more real than any recording should be. She plays the file again and again, shivering as the voices reach her through the speaker. They're not just sounds, they're messages, desperate and sad, calling out from a place that should not exist. That night, Mai can't sleep. She sits on the floor, staring at the boards beneath her feet, as if at any moment they might open up and let something crawl through. And as dawn breaks, she wonders if the lullaby is meant to comfort the living or to summon the dead. The haunting has changed Mai. Every night she feels watched, each light flickering in her apartment making her jump. But now, her curiosity is stronger than her fear. The more the building tries to hide its secret, the more Mai feels drawn to unravel it. She becomes obsessed with the elevator. Day after day, she rides it up and down, eyes glued to the glowing panel.
No matter how many times she presses the buttons, the display always jumps from 28 straight to 30. Floor 29 remains missing, a gap in reality as impossible as the sounds she hears each night. Late one evening, as Mai waits for the elevator in the lobby, an elderly man joins her. He's thin, stooped, his face deeply lined. Mai recognizes him as a longtime resident, quiet, always alone. The doors slide open. Mai steps in and hesitates. The old man remains outside, shaking his head. "Don't ride the elevator alone after midnight," he says softly, his voice trembling with age and something else, fear. "If you do, and you press nothing, sometimes it stops at a floor that isn't there." Mai's heart skips. She tries to laugh it off, but the man's eyes are serious, dark with warning. "It happened to my wife years ago. She never spoke of what she saw, only that the doors opened and she ran. After that, she was never the same." The elevator doors close with a chime, leaving Mai alone in the silence, the old man's words echoing in her mind. Her skin prickles with goosebumps. For the first time, she wonders if the elevator is more than just a machine, if it is a passageway, a thin seam between worlds. At 2:14 a.m., unable to resist, Mai stands in front of the elevator on her floor. The corridor is deserted, every door closed tight. She stares at the panel, her reflection ghostly in the polished metal. She wants to press the button, to test the legend, but fear holds her back. The memory of the old man's trembling voice, the horror in his eyes makes her pause. Instead, she returns to her apartment, heart racing, palms sweaty. She sits by the door listening to the mechanical hum of the elevator shaft, waiting for something, anything, to break the stillness. But the night is long. The floor beneath her vibrates with distant sounds, dragging, sobbing, a lullaby echoing up from nowhere. Mai hugs her knees to her chest and wonders if her turn will come, if the elevator will one day open for her and take her to the floor that was never meant to be found. Obsessed with the truth, Mai grows bold. If the residents and staff refuse to talk, she'll find answers on her own. The elevator's warnings linger in her mind, but it's the building's silence that fuels her, the sense that everyone is complicit in covering up something monstrous. One afternoon, while a group of cleaners chat outside, Mai slips unnoticed into the maintenance room on the ground floor. The air is musty, with the scent of old paper and machine oil. Tools hang on the walls, boxes are stacked everywhere, and a battered filing cabinet sits beneath a flickering light. She rifles through drawers stuffed with outdated manuals, construction contracts, and blueprints so old they're brittle. At first, all she finds are floor plans matching the building as it exists today, no mention of 29. But then, at the very back of the bottom drawer, she pulls out a faded, rolled-up blueprint. The paper nearly disintegrates in her hands, but the title at the top is unmistakable. Tower Horizon, Proposed Floor 29. Her heart pounds. She spreads the blueprint on the nearest table. It clearly shows a level between 28 and 30, two units labeled 2901 and 2902, each with detailed layouts. The hallway, stairwell, elevator access, all marked as if any other floor. Nothing strange at first glance, except for one detail. A series of red pencil marks circle the units, along with a single chilling note scribbled at the bottom. Do not open until investigation complete. Next to the layout is a grainy black and white photograph clipped to the plans. A family of three standing in front of what must be the unfinished balcony.
The woman's eyes seem hollow, her hand gripping the shoulder of a little girl, the man off to one side, unsmiling. Mai feels cold all over. This is real. It's proof, irrefutable. Floor 29 existed, and so did the doomed family. She snaps photos with her phone, her hands trembling, making sure to document every inch of evidence. Then she rolls up the blueprint and places it back exactly where she found it, heart pounding at every sound from the hallway. On her way out, Mai feels the strange sensation that she is not alone. The humming of the building grows louder in her ears. The elevator dings somewhere above her, though she's sure no one called it. Back in her apartment, Mai examines the photos on her phone, zooming in on the faces in the photograph. The little girl's eyes seem to follow her. A chill snakes down her spine. As dusk settles over the city, Mai realizes the haunting is no longer just a collection of sounds and shadows. Now it has a blueprint, a history, and a family whose story is far from over. That night, as the lullaby returns and the lights flicker, Mai understands. She has crossed a line. The truth she holds in her hands has a price, and the building is not finished collecting. It starts with the temperature. The next night, as Mai edits her footage and photos, a sudden chill creeps through her apartment. She wraps herself in a sweater, but the cold lingers, especially near the trash chute and the balcony, places closest to where floor 29 should be. She breathes out, and her breath clouds in the air, unnatural for the humid city. She tries to ignore it, but the cold spreads. Each night it grows sharper, radiating from the floorboards and corners of the apartment. She wakes at 2:14 a.m. with teeth chattering, shivering under thick blankets. The feeling isn't just discomfort, it's dread, a creeping sense that she is not alone. Then come the whispers. At first, they're soft, barely there, just on the edge of hearing. She lies awake, eyes wide, as faint voices drift through the apartment. Sometimes they sound like a lullaby, sometimes like a child giggling. Sometimes it's her name, drawn out in a slow, breathy sigh. Mai, come play. She sits upright, heart pounding. The room is empty, but the air is thick, pressing in around her, as if the walls are listening. One night, she stands in front of her fogged-up bathroom mirror and sees for a split second a small handprint appear in the condensation beside her own. She spins around, nothing is there. She becomes obsessed with the chill, mapping it as it moves through the apartment. The coldest spots are always near the trash chute and the balcony, the borders of the missing floor. Sometimes the area grows so cold that frost forms on the metal of the chute's handle. Sometimes she hears soft scratching, as if tiny fingers are dragging along the other side. The whispers intensify. She hears her name even in daylight, in the hiss of running water, the static of her speakers, the low hum of the elevator shaft. It's not just sound, it's a presence, closing in, filling the empty spaces of her home. One night, as the lullaby rises from below, the whispers gather at her ear, urgent and pleading. Please, please, let us out. Mai backs away, pressing her hands over her ears, but the voices slip through. Tears sting her eyes, not just from terror, but from a profound, overwhelming sadness. She realizes this haunting is not only about fear, it is about longing, about spirits trapped between worlds, desperate to be heard. And now the boundary between her world and theirs is vanishing, breath by freezing breath.
That night, the chill is unbearable. Mai buries herself beneath layers of blankets, but the cold seems to seep directly from the floor, numbing her bones. The air is thick with the scent of dust and old rain. The whispers are louder than ever, swirling in every corner of the apartment, sometimes calling her name, sometimes humming that haunting lullaby. Unable to sleep, Mai paces the living room, clutching her phone like a lifeline. She stops in front of the sliding glass door to her balcony, drawn by a strange compulsion. The city lights are smeared by mist, the world outside unnaturally silent. Suddenly, Mai's breath catches in her throat. On the narrow ledge, just outside her balcony railing, barely visible in the dim light, stands a little girl. She's small, her hair hanging limp over her face, her white dress stained and heavy with moisture. Bare feet, toes curled over the edge of the ledge. She stands perfectly still, not shivering, not moving, as if she belongs to the cold itself. For a long moment, Mai can't move or speak. The girl lifts her head just enough to reveal eyes that are far too old for her face, wide, dark, and glistening with sorrow. Their gazes meet through the glass. A single tiny hand lifts, pressing against the balcony door, leaving a wet, foggy print on the outside. Mai feels the temperature in the room plummet further. The whispers in the apartment fall silent, replaced by the hush of shared grief. Mai! The voice is faint, but it rings inside Mai's mind. A plea, a memory, a warning. It's so cold down here. Tears stream down Mai's face. She steps forward, reaching instinctively for the glass, but as her fingers touch the cold surface, the girl's shape begins to fade. The lights in the city flicker, and in an instant, the apparition vanishes, leaving only the tiny, wet handprint behind. Shaken and weeping, Mai stares at the glass, her own breath fogging the pain next to the print. For the first time, she's sure. The haunting is not just echoes and old sorrow. It is alive. It is reaching out for her. And the girl in the white dress, the child of floor 29, is waiting for someone to notice she never left. The days slip past in a blur of fear and sleeplessness. Mai tries to keep busy, editing videos, cleaning, even attempting to call friends for company, but nothing shakes the chill or the shadows clinging to her apartment. Every night, the lullaby returns, and the handprint on her balcony never fades, no matter how many times she tries to wipe it away. One night, unable to resist the pull of her obsession any longer, Mai decides to test the elevator at the forbidden hour. She waits until 2:10 a.m., pacing the hallway, heart hammering. The building is silent, lights dimmed, everyone else long asleep. She steps into the elevator, alone. The panel glows coldly. She presses no buttons, just as the old man had warned her. The doors slide shut with a soft hiss, sealing her in. For a long moment, nothing happens. Mai stares at her reflection in the polished doors, drawn, pale, her eyes wide with dread. The elevator hums, descending slowly. The panel lights up, 30, 28, and then stalls, humming in place. A shiver runs down her spine. The digital display flickers, and then flashes an impossible number, 29. The elevator shudders, then comes to a stop. For a heartbeat, Mai wants to scream, to jab the emergency button, but she's paralyzed by terror and awe. The doors slide open, silently, smoothly, revealing a hallway that shouldn't exist. The light outside is dim and yellow,
thick with dust motes. The walls are unfinished concrete, streaked with water stains and strange dark smears. 2 apartment doors stand open at the far end, their numbers 2901 and 2902 barely visible beneath layers of grime. The air is icy, so cold Mai can see her breath. Every sound seems muffled, swallowed by the heavy silence. She feels as if she stepped into a memory or a nightmare, a place suspended between worlds. Mai! The voice is soft, echoing from the darkness at the end of the hall. Mai takes a hesitant step forward, then another. Her shoes leave prints in the dust. A shadow flits across the far doorway, small, quick, unmistakably a child. Mai, come play. The lullaby begins, drifting through the corridor, growing louder with every step she takes. The sorrow in it is unbearable, a weight pressing on her chest. Mai's feet refuse to carry her further. She retreats, breath coming in gasps. The elevator doors, still open, seem to beckon her back. Just as she stumbles inside, the shadow at the end of the hall turns to look at her, eyes black and bottomless. The doors close with a shudder. The panel jumps from 29 to 30. When the doors open again, Mai is home. The hallway is familiar, the lights bright, but her heart is still racing, her mind reeling. She staggers back to her apartment, locks the door, and collapses to the floor, sobbing with relief and terror. She has seen the impossible. She has stepped onto floor 29, and something there knows her name.
The vision of floor 29 haunts Mai throughout the following day. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees the flicker of the elevator panel, the thick dust, and the black, endless eyes of the child. She tells herself it must have been a dream, a stress-induced hallucination, but the terror in her heart is too real to ignore. That night, at exactly 2:14 a.m., the elevator calls her again. She finds herself unable to resist. With trembling hands, she steps inside, breath held, and waits. The numbers flicker, the doors close, and once more the elevator shudders to a stop at 29. This time, the hallway is waiting for her, unchanged, yellow light, unfinished concrete, the suffocating cold. The 2 apartment doors stand at the end of the corridor, and the nearest, 2901, is slightly ajar. Something compels Mai to walk forward. Her footsteps leave prints in the dust, her ears ringing with the memory of the lullaby. The closer she gets, the more she feels the temperature drop. So cold, her breath comes out in white puffs. She pushes the door open. The hinges groan but do not resist. Inside, the apartment is frozen in time. Plastic still covers the furniture. Sheets of dust blanket every surface. The air is heavy, thick with grief and old secrets. A child's drawing, yellowed and curled, is taped to the wall. A stick figure family, mother, father, daughter, standing on a balcony. A smiling sun hovers above, but the mother's eyes are scratched out. Mai's heart twists. She wanders from room to room. The kitchen smells faintly of mold. The bathroom mirror is shattered. The bedroom is littered with toys and broken glass. Every corner hums with the echo of voices, angry, pleading, sobbing, and singing. She hears the woman's voice, raw with despair. "Why won't you stop? Why are you above me, always above me?" And the child's voice, barely a whisper, "I'm scared, Mommy. I want to go home." The apartment is alive with memories, arguments, laughter, lullabies,
all swirling in the freezing air. Shadows flit across the walls. Mai sees the little girl's silhouette dart from room to room, always just out of sight. In the bedroom, Mai finds the balcony door ajar. She steps outside. The city below is silent, impossibly far away. The air is so cold she can barely breathe. A figure stands at the edge, a woman in a faded dress, her face hidden by her hair. The child stands beside her, holding her hand. The woman turns, her eyes hollow. She looks at Mai and speaks without moving her lips, her voice echoing inside Mai's mind. "Will you remember us? Will you let us go?" Before Mai can answer, a sudden gust of icy wind sweeps across the balcony, and the vision vanishes. She staggers back, alone in the dark, the echo of the question ringing in her ears. Tears streaming down her face, Mai realizes the pain of this place was never buried, only sealed behind an unlocked door. And by entering, she has become a witness to the tragedy no one else dared to face. The elevator waits, its doors open, ready to take her home. Mai stumbles inside, numb and broken, as floor 29 disappears once more into the silence between worlds. Back in her own apartment, Mai can't stop shaking. Her skin still burns with cold from floor 29. She clutches her phone, desperately playing the recordings from the night before. But now the audio is filled with a chaos of voices, pleading, crying, whispering in languages she can't understand. At the center is the same lullaby, its melody distorted but unmistakable. Sleep is impossible. Every time she closes her eyes, she's back inside apartment 2901, walking through rooms drenched in sorrow, hearing the mother's frantic pacing and the child's terrified sobs. Shadows flicker at the edge of her vision, and sometimes when she blinks, she sees glimpses of the doomed family reenacting their last, desperate hours. Exhausted, Mai pores through the photos she took of the blueprint and the old family photo. Her gaze lingers on the woman's face, the hollow eyes, the way her hand rests protectively on the child's shoulder. A strange, sharp pang runs through her chest. Drawn by instinct, she opens a dusty old box she keeps in her closet, filled with childhood mementos, faded birthday cards, a tiny stuffed animal, and a yellowed photograph from her own past. Her hands tremble as she pulls it out, a photo of herself as a child, standing with her mother in front of a tall, half-built tower. Her mother's face is blurred by age, but the smile and shape are eerily familiar. A chill runs down her spine. She flips the photo over. On the back, written in faded ink, "First day in our new home. May you always be safe above the city." The realization crashes through her. Her family once lived in this building. Could it be possible? Was her mother one of the earliest tenants? She stares at her childhood self, searching for clues, trying to piece together fragments of memory. The lullaby rises again in her mind, almost as if it's calling her by name. Desperate for answers, Mai returns to her laptop, searching old email chains and city records. She discovers a list of families who moved into the tower before construction was complete. Her mother's name is there, alongside the woman and child from the blueprint photo. She is connected to the tragedy, by blood, by memory, by the walls that remember. As dawn breaks, Mai understands the truth. The haunting is not just a story trapped in a lost floor. It is part of her own history, a wound that runs deeper than the building's foundations. Now the past has found her, and it refuses to let go. The revelation leaves Mai hollow and shaking. She now knows she is bound to this place, not just by curiosity, but by blood, memory, and fate.
All day she wanders her apartment like a ghost herself, unable to escape the music that drifts up from beneath her floor, or the icy air that will not leave her side. That night, sleep finally claims her, but it brings no peace. She dreams of corridors that never end, elevators with doors that refuse to open, and a city skyline always shrouded in fog. Somewhere in the labyrinth, the lullaby plays on an endless loop. She wakes with a cry, her skin clammy, her heart racing. At 2:14 a.m., the sounds begin again, dragging, crying, the old, haunted melody. But this time, Mai no longer flinches. She stands in the center of her living room, arms wrapped tight around herself, and listens. The air in the apartment grows impossibly cold. Frost forms along the windowsills, and her breath comes out in sharp white clouds. Shadows dance along the ceiling, moving in time with the noises below. For the first time, Mai feels as though the boundary between floors, between worlds, has dissolved entirely. A voice rises above the music, a woman's voice, broken and pleading. "Why are you above me? Why won't you let me rest?" Mai suddenly understands. The tragedy on floor 29 was never just an accident or a ghost story. It was a haunting born of misunderstanding. A mother, driven to despair, convinced that someone was living and moving above her night after night, when her own unit was meant to be the top floor. But now, Mai realizes with horror, it was never the living that haunted the dead. It was the dead trapped in their endless agony who heard the footsteps of those who came after. Every new resident on the 30th floor, every movement in the night became the footsteps above, a curse replayed, never resolved. She remembers her own footsteps, restless and desperate in the dark, echoing through the empty space below. She remembers the cold handprint on the glass, the second shadow in the mirror, the way the lullaby always seemed to respond to her presence. The voices crescendo, swirling around her in a whirlwind of sorrow and accusation. "Let us rest! Let us go! Stop walking above us! Stop living where we died!" Mai falls to her knees, tears streaming down her face, overwhelmed by the sheer weight of grief in the room. She whispers an apology she knows may never be enough. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't understand." A final, agonizing silence descends. The chill recedes. The shadows melt away. For a moment, Mai is left alone with nothing but her own heartbeat in the dark. But somewhere deep below, the lullaby plays on, a reminder that some tragedies echo forever, and that the pain of floor 29 will never truly fade as long as someone lives above the forgotten floor. Life on the 30th floor never truly returns to normal for Mai. Days pass, and the city below thrums with its usual noise, as if nothing out of the ordinary could possibly hide in the bright, modern tower. Mai tries to move on. She throws herself into work, avoids talking to neighbors, and stays off the balcony after dark. But the scars of what she witnessed run deep. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, she wakes and listens for the dragging sounds. Most nights, there's only silence, but every so often, at 2:14 a.m., she hears the familiar lullaby. It's softer now, barely a whisper, but still there, a thread tying her to the sorrow below. Her friends and viewers notice the change. Mai's vlogs grow quieter, her eyes more distant. She never tells anyone the full story. Who would believe her? Even the evidence she gathered seems to fade. Photos vanish from her phone. Audio files become garbled or corrupted,
and the handprint on her balcony finally disappears one morning, as if wiped away by something unseen. But there are things she cannot forget. Sometimes, when she rides the elevator late at night, she feels the temperature drop, sees her breath mist the air. She avoids making eye contact with her own reflection in the polished metal. Once, just once, she's alone at the haunted hour. She presses no buttons, just as she did before. The elevator shudders. The panel flickers. For a heartbeat, the number 29 glows red. The doors slide open onto a darkness thick with dust, sorrow, and memory. There, at the end of a hallway that shouldn't exist, a door is ajar, and a little girl in white stands waiting, her eyes full of longing. Mai does not step out. She simply stares, heart pounding, until the doors close again and the elevator rises back to the world of the living. From that night on, she takes the stairs whenever she can. The legend of floor 29 becomes just another rumor, something whispered by new tenants and quickly dismissed. But those who live high in the tower sometimes wake with chills, or hear laughter echo through the walls, or see an extra shadow in the mirror just before dawn. And every now and then, when the clock strikes 2:14 a.m., the elevator pauses between floors, waiting for someone to be brave or foolish enough to answer the call. Because some stories are never truly finished. Some doors, once opened, can never be shut. And the haunted floor that was meant to be forgotten waits, quietly, for the next footstep above.